So I'm delighted this afternoon to be with Kirsty and Aaron. So Aaron, who's the MC for the Commercial Summit. I keep remembering it's only a few days away now. It's 7th of March, and massive thanks to Kirsty for taking time out. Really delighted to have someone whose speciality is well served on the panel, which is focused on retail. Kirsty, do you want to just explain a little bit about your background for people who've not come across you? I know you're part of PPN, your Progressive Property Network, in terms of running a very well-established group, which is in Birmingham. So just a little bit about yourself as well.
Okay, no problem. Well, thank you for the invite. I'm really excited to be joining the Commercial Summit amongst lots of other very experienced people. I think it's going to be a really good day. So I have been a commercial property surveyor for the last 20 years. And around 4 years ago, I decided to stop working in corporate and start investing for myself and helping other people do the same. But I've spent a lot of my career focused on buying and asset managing retail property, which is why I'm particularly interested in sitting on that panel on the 7th. And yeah, I set up Birmingham PPN 4 years ago to establish a private investor network. And now I spend all of my time working with private investors trying to build commercial property portfolios as well as building my own.
So look, Aaron, in terms of the listeners, I'm sure everyone knows who you are. So, but in terms of those who haven't come across you, Aaron, you're in the Guinness Book of Records for starters as being the person who's done the longest speech, or part of the longest speech, longest presentation with Rob Moore quite a few years ago. Aaron, is that right?
Yes. I was just checking. Can you hear me okay?
I can. There's a tiny bit of background music as well. So we don't have that license for the background music.
Relatively annoying. So I'll try and make sure that the music doesn't interfere too much. And so, yeah, I've done a bit of public speaking. You know, I've been in the property space for a while. But I think where the thing is unlike a lot of people actually started off in commercial property and then went into residential. And so privately, I didn't know you were supposed to do it the other way around, so we're told. And so yeah, so it's a delight to be there. You know, I've come across Kirsty, you know, over a couple of years, and she might be being modest about what she does. She's definitely one of the best in the game and very, very experienced. I'm very excited to hear what she has to say.
So Aaron, I know we've got a little bit of background noise, so I might put you on mute in a moment or two. But in terms of any key questions to ask Kirsty straight away?
So I think that the question, hi Kirsty, is exactly where you see things going in 2020 and where exactly the opportunities in commercial that you're doubling down on. I happen to know that you've cycled through a few different property strategies, and you do have a big overview of the market, being both in the sort of private sector and also looking at things in the commercial space. So where are you going in 2020, Kirsty, and why?
Personally, I'm going for some slightly bigger deals because in my view, once you know what you're doing, it takes just the same amount of work to do make a small investment as it does a larger investment. And I want diversified assets. So I'm going for mixed use, but I don't mean residential and commercial mixed use. I mean commercial mixed use. So either multi-let properties like small industrial parks, or mixed use, which is retail and leisure, or retail and office, or a mix of retail, office and leisure. So I want diversified investments because the economy is a bit uncertain. Things are changing quite fast, which means that businesses change fast for tenants. And some tenant businesses are failing. New entrants are coming into the market. There's a lot happening. So if you sit in the mixed use space with a nice diversified investment, that's quite a nice place to be.
So Aaron, I can shoot off, but I'll let you ask another followed up question if you want. Aaron, are you still there?
Okay, so fantastic, Kirsty. And I think that's a very interesting angle to come from. Really diversifying within the commercial space with an eye into the future. So almost a sub question in terms of the units that you're procuring or putting together, how much future proofing are you going in case you have to change the zoning, in case you have to change the use? And is that an element in terms of when you're looking at sites and looking at where you're procuring them, and even if you have to go to residential?
My question for you, Kirsty, is on the industrial side. So I don't have many speakers in my circuit, to be fair, or I'm connected to more on the retail side and industrial. I spoke to Anil Mahanal, who's on the panel, who specializes in retail. So in terms of industrial, what industrial, and where do you see the future of industrial as well?
Well, industrial is very strong because a lot of the businesses that went from the high street have gone online. And if you're online, you generally need warehousing, logistics, storage to operate from. So the industrial market has picked up the demand that was once there on the high street, and industrial is very, very strong. Now, there's actually more competition in industrial because of that, because it's a safer investment at the moment, and it can be harder to find the higher yielding opportunities. But what I really like about industrial is the security of the income. So quite often industrial tenants will take much longer leases than the retail sector tenants. Sorry. You know.
Oh, sorry, Kirsty. In terms of the longer leases, what typically are you looking at?
So in industrial, typically you'll get 10 years out of a tenant. Now, sometimes they'll ask for a 5-year break, but quite often you can negotiate that out because they have to spend so much money fitting the units out to operate from that they don't want the cost of moving. And industrial tenants quite often stay for decades. So that's what I like about industrial, is it can be a very secure, steady investment. And because of the demand, the rents are going up at the moment. So that's, you're future-proofing yourself because you know your rents are either going to hold, or in all likelihood, your rents are going to go up in industrial. Whereas in retail, it's more of a challenge. It's very location-specific at the moment.
Sure. And in terms of industrial, are you looking for particular size units, or that's not really key for you? It's more what the deal is rather than the size of the industrial units, or is it geographical spread as well?
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep my portfolio around the Midlands and South Yorkshire. In terms of size of unit, I want units anywhere between 1 and 5,000 square feet. So that's the end of the market that I want to operate in. So you've got the local, regional businesses generally. Eventually, I might get up to the big sheds, the Amazon-style aircraft hangars. But at the moment, I don't want to be invested in single-use units. I want multi-let business parks where I can add value. There's things I can do to asset manage that and add the value to it.
Aaron, have we still got you on mute, or can you hear us?
I can unmute at any time. I just mute for the background.
But,
sure. So just a very interesting thing there you're talking about, Kirsty, is and about what you're doing around industrial. The other thing as well is actually the planning regime. The planning regime is actually a lot more favourable to industrial than, I don't know whether that's been your experience too, Kirsty. So they really encouraged these starter units, as I call them, and that's kind of the space that, I'm looking at it. And so they come in, so it's a big warehouse, you put another level on top with a bit of office and everything else. And the demand for those is great. The council love them because they can get loads of incubator businesses and start to get loads of business rates and all that other stuff. So planning as well, you'll find in the industrial space is a lot more flexible, a lot more, let's say, permissible to business than in other spaces. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I think there's a lot of people at the moment trying to make sites work for residential. And the other point is that it costs about half of what it costs to build residential to build industrial, and it also takes at least half the time. So I think there's a lot of people missing out on potential secure, stable, diversified investments at the moment who are focused on converting commercial sites to residential, where actually you're right, there is a big demand for the smaller warehouse units, particularly, light industrial uses, so storage, warehouse. And a lot of people have also cottoned on to the fact that they can have their office within a warehouse unit. And that's quite often a lot cheaper than office space. So you can build your own office space within a warehouse unit. So you might be paying £5 a square foot for your industrial space, whereas you'd be paying £10 a square foot for an actual office. So a lot of businesses are getting quite savvy about that as well. So your tenant demand is very, very strong. So as long as you build in the right place, then you're going to be fully let in no time. And that's a really good, strong investment. So yeah, I agree.
Kirsty, I'm slightly biased. Of course, 7th of March is a great place to come for research, but how else do you suggest people who are looking to move into the commercial space do research? Because a lot of the surveys, from my experience of talking to lenders, are not always relevant to them because it can be for much bigger sites and so forth. So what, apart from coming to my event, how else can people tap in?
So how else is to start reading the commercial property press for a start, like Property Week or Estates Gazette, just to get a general feel for the market. But the best way is to just start getting in touch with and building relationships with local commercial surveyors. So not the big surveying firms, not the CBREs, the Jones Langs, the smaller independent regional commercial surveying firms. They're the ones that are on the ground buying and selling the type of investments that private investors are going to be interested in. So what you really want to do is just start talking to your local commercial surveyors. And that's really how to get in.
I promised Kirsty this would be a 10-15 minute video at most. Aaron, any final questions?
No final questions. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the 7th. And I do really encourage anyone watching this video to reach out to Kirsty. I'm sure Brendan's going to include details through, and she really knows this stuff. And you really want to be learning from experts who are actually in the field, who have got 2 decades of experience and who are doing it today. So that's the only tip I'd also add.
So Kirsty, I have 2 other questions, but I'll be brief.
Okay.
One is opportunities. Okay, what opportunities are you looking for? I know industrial, you said what square footage. How can people connect with you? Are you open for connections in that sense is one?
Yeah, absolutely. So if people have opportunities, if they've got sites they're looking to sell, or potentially want to joint venture. So if they don't know what they're doing, they've got capital, but they need to learn, or they don't know how to find the properties, find the deals, or they just don't have access to it. People can connect on that basis. I am mentoring a small group of people as well. So if people want to learn how to do this themselves, then I'm happy to talk to them about whether that's right for them.
And Kirsty, people can connect with you through your website. Is that the best way?
Yeah, so my website, I've got a Facebook page as well, or LinkedIn. So I'm on all of those.
Look, the other question was about retail, and I know we could spend 45 minutes, in fact, we will do at the summit, but in 2 minutes or less, what's your thoughts on retail? What direction is it going? And it's that too broad a question as well, which it probably is.
Yeah, it's a very broad question because it very much depends on what retail and where. So it is very location specific, but what I would say in general is that smaller towns, so market towns or suburban retail, is thriving as long as your tenant is convenience led. So either convenience or experience. So Amazon proof is what you're looking for in your tenant, things that you can't buy on the internet. So getting your hair done, restaurants, and it is adapting quite fast. And the government have started to put some money into reviving high streets. And it's a great opportunity because a lot of people are afraid of it at the moment, which means if you know what you're doing, there's a massive opportunity in retail. You just got to be careful of the rents because the rents have gone down in a lot of towns and cities and locations. So you need to do your due diligence really, really well. And build that into your purchase price.
So as I mentioned, I could go on, and the best date to go on is on the 7th of March. I'm really delighted to welcome you to Kirsty, to London, to the Commercial Summit. Delighted that you're able to make the panel, and delighted that Aaron will be emceeing the event alongside Jack Jiggin. So, Kirsty, just one final question. It's about your website. So, can you just give the domain for the website, please?
Yeah, it's my name. So it's www.kirstydarkins.co.uk.
So that's nice and easy. Aaron and Kirsty, I just want to say massive thanks for taking time out this afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan. See you on the 7th.
Thank you.